Quick word about Formula One, your other interest in your spare time. MP426 will be slightly behind schedule, but we're led to believe that's deliberate. Can you elaborate slightly?
Yeah, I can. It's not behind. It's on schedule, and the schedule is to launch on the 4th of February and make it to the second test. We took that decision. We took that decision some time ago. It hasn't slipped from that. And it's a balance. You know, there is nowadays very, very short winters. We're developing cars to very complex technical regulations. We've chosen to give our aerodynamicists and our engineers maybe about an extra 10 days, which doesn't sound much, but actually in Formula One terms, that's a long period of time to find more performance. It's tough this year. The regulations are even more constrained. And I know all the teams are working very, very hard. The goal is to get back to the same performance we had at the end of the year when, when we had double diffusers, blown diffusers, etc. We don't have those anymore. And everyone's working very hard to do that. But it was always our intention, regardless of how people interpret it. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is whether the car is quick enough to win races in the World Championship during the course of this season.
And of course, what you turn up in Bahrain with will be slightly different to what you test anyway.
Yes,
so
I mean that's the nature of Formula One. So we will launch the car, as I say, on the 4th of February, and that car will it'll look different by the time it gets to the test. 3 days later, it will evolve very, very quickly, leading up to the first race.
Big battle last year with Ferrari and Red Bull. Fantastic five-way fight for the championship. Can we expect more of the same this year?
Yeah, and maybe more. I mean, I think it was an absolutely fantastic World Championship, and it was very exciting for us to be involved with it. It was, you've got to say, it was good for the sport, not good for us, but good for the sport that Red Bull won. And, we had some great 1-2s, some great victories. We've got two great drivers, as you know. And I think the Ferrari will be strong this year. We intend to be strong. I'm sure Red Bull. I'm sure Mercedes-Benz will come back much stronger this year than perhaps they were last. So, and you never know. That's the nice thing. In this sport, we're working very, very hard to be competitive. We think we're doing a good job, but there may be a eureka moment in one of the small teams that we've all missed. And during the year, you see every fortnight how competitive each team is. During the winter, they're all off the radar screen. We're all working like crazy to get our car as quick as possible. We all think we're doing the right thing, but you never know. There's always that fear, that anticipation in the back of your mind that someone, could be the smallest team, finds a breakthrough that none of us do, and suddenly we're embarrassed. And that's the great thing about the sport.
You've pledged your allegiance once again to FOTA, to sort of be the team's spokesperson, if you like. One or two sort of niggles in the background over the last 24 hours. Anything to report? Or is it all rather boring?
I think, Formula One is some of the most competitive people in the world, and getting those people to work together in the greater good of Formula One is an interesting challenge. And I think FOTA's achieved a lot so far. There will always be, there's lots of people who would like FOTA not to exist because it unifies the teams. I think we've got a few little issues. I don't think it's useful to talk about them in public. We'll power through those, and I think the teams understand that a number of them wouldn't be here on the grid without FOTA, and there's a lot of fundamental support and goodwill for it. But we're all competitive people, and we'll always push the boundaries, but I'm sure we'll come through it.
I think in the last few years there has been a little bit less cutting off its nose to spite its face within Formula One. There's been quite good harmony on some issues over the last few years. Is that set to continue?
Well, I hope so. I think we've been at war. Ferrari, McLaren were at war for 30 years, and sometimes that got out of control. The truth is, we all love Formula One. We all recognise that Formula One can be better, and there's no point waiting for other people to make it better. We, the teams, have got to take some responsibility. We've got to make it more sustainable. We've got to make it such that the small teams can survive. We need them. There's no point as the large teams saying we don't care what happens to those small teams. It's been very, very tough economy in the last couple of years. A lot of the teams, as I say, would not be there if it was not for FOTA. And I think it's important. We need at least 10 teams, preferably 12 teams, or even more that we're going to race against. And I think there's a bit of common sense. I think great thing about this last championship, it was tremendously exciting. It went on to the end, but also people weren't talking about the polemics and scandal in the paddock and all that sort of rubbish. They were looking at the best racing drivers in the world in the most technically advanced cars, having exciting races and a real tough championship battle. That's what we should be concentrating on. I'm proud that we achieved that, and I hope we can do it, or do it even better this year.
20 races in 2011, the biggest, longest and toughest schedule in Formula One history. It's going to be tough, isn't it?
It is, and we've got not just McLaren, but all the Formula One teams, tremendously dedicated teams. These guys really work hard. They're working hard now to build the car. They'll be working. So the season, in a sense, has already started. The guys who are going to be there in November, flogging themselves to death, during the last race. They're already building the cars. They're going to be testing the cars in the coming few weeks over to Bahrain for the start of the season. Not only the number of races, the number that are outside of Europe now. So that they're really flogging around the globe for most of the year, and it's very, very tough on all of those guys. But fortunately, I think the camaraderie, the passion, the excitement of Formula One, it keeps most of them going for as long as they do.